I spoke with the Washington Post's opinion editor, Autumn Brewington, on Prince Philip's impact beyond the Commonwealth.
Prince Philip has a really interesting legacy, just in terms of, a lot of times when he made headlines, either for things that he said or he did, he was surprising and sometimes offending people. But he was the longest serving consort in British royal history, and he was married to the Queen for 73 years. He played a big role in his family, and I think being there for his family, and in particular for the Queen, is a big part of his legacy.
And Autumn, he occupied such a significant role during a time of great change for British society.
So, when the Queen ascended to the throne in 1952, there had not been another prince consort for about 90 years since Prince Albert died in 1861. So, this role was kind of thrown open to Prince Philip, who, he was a war-fighting naval officer. He was kind of a guy's guy, and now in public he was expected to follow his wife, and so he had to kind of create this role for himself where he wasn't publicly taking the lead. He was always a couple of steps literally behind.
Prince Philip, of course, championed hundreds of causes, and he was well ahead of the curve when it came to the environment too.
Absolutely. He was interested in quite a lot of different things. And, he was talking about the environment and conservation in the early 1960s. He was talking about, like really climate change before people consciously, like climate change was part of the conversation. Didn't stop him from hunting, but he was out there, one of the, I think, co founders of the World Wildlife Fund, maybe in 1961. He was the first royal to ever do a televised interview. He really thought about kind of a lot of things that sort of interested him personally, and questions of how do you update the monarchy as an institution, as an institution that's based on tradition, but sort of what traditions did they maybe have to jettison to still be relevant as times changed. So he was one of those who pushed for getting rid of introducing debutantes at court, and tried to make the palace a bit more modern and efficient.
He was, as we know, gaffe-prone. Did that endear him to the public in some way?
I do think it had the effect of kind of over time endearing him to some people. I think it probably pretty regularly offended other people. Asking it just kind of making stereotypical remarks and worse. But he never changed who he was and his willingness to just sort of say what he thought. And I think those are things that, the Queen loved about him, and he was comfortable with who he was.
Autumn, you're, of course, in the United States. Can you give us a sense of Americans generally, their reaction to the passing of Prince Philip?
Um, Americans are sort of fascinated by royalty, which is it is a different form of celebrity than we are, used to having here. And especially because the prince's grandson, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, have been in the news a lot recently. I think people are very caught up by this and sort of trying to figure out what's next for the monarchy. So a lot of people are paying attention, even though, it's not our royal family anymore. A lot of people are quite interested. And sort of, what does this mean for the Queen? What does this mean for the monarchy?